Part 2. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 11. Chapter 11 on demand. Yang Cixi knew the following words even if she didn't listen. Mother of Qin was persuaded by Lu Yuechun. The book said that there was a lot of trouble inside the mansion, but she didn't believe it at first. After all, these people got whatever they wanted. Unlike fellow villagers who lack food and clothing, fighting for a mouthful of food will lead to bloodshed. Looking at it now, there is essentially no difference between the two. Lu Yuechun clearly expressed that she didn't feel sorry for her parents-in-law's money. In fact, she wanted her parents-in-law to spend all the money on herself. And Qin Yanxi lost his temper with his elders as soon as he came back, tangibly consuming the elders' guilt towards him, which was unwise. But a person's character cannot be changed. She has to order him. She returned calmly, "ACI, we are getting married on the 15th day of the first lunar month. Shouldn't your room be decorated? You want to live here? Well, isn't it good?" "Not good." Yang Cixi tilted her head pretending to be puzzled. "What's wrong? It should be much better than the conditions on the farm, right? Your eldest brother's family now has 4 children. The income of uncle and aunt must be subsidized by them, right? They probably don't have the energy to take care of us." With Qin Yanxi's temper, if Qin's mother did not meet his request, he said all these things at once. No matter how unwilling Qin's mother was to prepare a new house for him, she had no choice but to prepare it after hearing this. Otherwise, Qin Yanxi's guess about her would not be confirmed. "You battled wits and courage with the thief yesterday. You must be very tired today. Have a good rest." Yang Cixi's tone was full of concern. Qin Yanxi felt better after hearing this, with a faint smile on his lips. "Yeah. Today is Saturday. Li Junlu's unit only requires half-day shifts." When Yang Cixi got home, he was reading the newspaper. Song Hanmei knitted sweaters beside her, while Li Yue manicured her nails comfortably. The family of 3 is having a peaceful time. She directly conveyed the meaning of Qin Yan's speech. Li Yue felt incredulous. Get a certificate? In his previous life, Qin Yanxi had never mentioned getting a certificate with her. They only served wine. Still under the auspices of both parents. After getting married, they lived in a small wing of a courtyard house. A family of about 10 people lived together, and they were noisy and restless every day. The eldest sister-in-law of the Qin family is also a hypocrite. She was young and ignorant, and she suffered a lot from the other party. When she thinks about the life she lived in her previous life, she is frightened and full of hatred. Li Junlu smiled and took the newspaper away from his eyes. "It's a good thing. I'll ask your sister to give you a certificate later." "Li Yue, Dad, the Qin family hasn't given us any gifts yet, has it? If we let my sister get married like this, if they don't give us anything later, wouldn't it be for nothing?" Li Junlu still smiled. "Marrying a girl does not mean selling her. What kind of gift do I need?" Yang Cixi glanced at Li Junlu with disdain. Sanctimonious, shameless villain. On the day of the engagement, she saw Li Junlu receiving a thick red envelope from Qin's father. "Isn't it a bride price?" Father of Qin promised that as long as she successfully married into the Qin family, he would personally write a letter of recommendation for Li Junlu. Money and power are all in hand. One more thing, marrying your daughter is not selling your daughter. How ridiculous. Song Hanmei obviously knew the situation and echoed, "Yes, we are marrying our daughter, not selling her. When you get married in the future, your father and I will not ask for a bride price." Li Yue listened. The Feng family's conditions are poor and their life is very difficult. In order to marry Yang Cixi in his previous life, the family asked his grandfather to sue his grandmother. His father even went to the black market to sell blood to collect the 300 dowry required by his parents. Because of this, his father has been in poor health. In this life, not only does she not want the bride price, but she also gives him the capital to start a business. In this way, he will be grateful for her efforts after he becomes successful. She thought happily and said with a smile, "Mom and Dad, you are so open-minded. Sister, I will go and get the certificate for you right away." Request for votes. End of this chapter. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 12. Chapter 12, Be obedient when you get an advantage. Song Hanmi, I was reluctant, it's not you who are getting married. You are in a hurry. Li Yue smiled playfully, I want my sister to marry into the Qin family quickly and enjoy the blessings. She guessed that Qin Yanxi couldn't wait to torture Ying Sisi, so she asked for a certificate. After all, beating his wife after marriage was a family dispute and no one could care about it. Ying Sisi had enough time to calm down and said, in that case, why don't you go and enjoy it? Song Hanmi is angry at not hearing this. If his precious daughter hadn't looked down on Qin Yanxi, would this marriage have been your turn? Some people behave well when they get a bargain. Mom, please stop saying a few words. Li Yue stopped her. Ying Sisi is just young, not stupid. Mom revealed too much, which aroused her suspicion and affected the progress of Qin Yanxi's obtaining the certificate. What should I do if other troubles arise? Ying Sisi was too lazy to watch the mother and daughter singing together. Turn around and go back to the room, lock the door, take out the stamps, and read through them one by one. I found that the words printed on several stamps were wrong. Her heart was beating wildly. Is it fake? No, it shouldn't be. Qin Yanxi said that the one she handed him casually was worth 7 or 8 yuan. So she boldly speculated that the misprinted one was an orphan in the rumors. More valuable. Have made a fortune. Alumni. Ying Sisi tightened her hands and held the stamp album in front of her chest. Sister, the proof is here. Ying Sisi suppressed her inner excitement, collected the stamp album slowly, and stepped forward to open the door. Li Yue handed over the certificate. What time will you get the certificate tomorrow? You are getting married suddenly, are you afraid? I will accompany you, just to give you courage. It is also good to see how Qin Yanxi deals with Ying Sisi. I didn't say anything specific in the banquet speech. I'll meet him early tomorrow morning. I'll get the certificate. Why do you seem so happy? Ying Sisi pretended to be curious. Does Li Yue think that once he and Qin Yan resign and receive the certificate, he will immediately change his face? She didn't know where Li Yue learned about Qin Yanxi, but she was certain that he was by no means the jealous, vengeful, twisted person described by the neighbor's aunt. You are my sister. You have married someone with good conditions in all aspects. I am happy for you. Li Yue said her words in a flawless manner. Thank you, Ying Sisi responded perfunctorily, and drove away Li Yue on the grounds of rest. She slept at home. Have enough energy and come to the black market again. Was more lively than the day before. There are many more street stalls selling couplets and window grills. A pair of ordinary window grills cost 1 cent. She feels that her tailoring is better than what is displayed on the street stalls. If she sells it for 1.5 cents, she doesn't know if there will be any business. Just do it. She ran home, found the red paper, closed the door and cut it. The dragon and the phoenix appear auspicious, the magpie climbs the plum blossoms, the fish leaps over the dragon gate, and the 5 sons ascend to the throne. After processing by her. Lively and vivid. She had to stop when she ran out of red paper. Hold a thick stack of paper cuts. Happy enough to say to myself. After receiving the certificate tomorrow, I will take it to the market to sell it. You can get 50 cents. At this time there was a knock on the door. "Sisi, why are you hiding in the room? Don't forget to collect the certificate with the banquet tomorrow." The speaker is Li Junlu. Nothing to do, I got it, Yang Sisi said. Li Junlu said again, after receiving the certificate, you can ask about the work situation of the banquet. Don't ask directly, be more roundabout. Yang Sisi understood but pretended not to understand. I've always been straightforward and don't know how to go round. You girl, you're a loser. Ask him what his plans are for the future. Yang Sisi sneered coldly, do you have any plans? Shouldn't I get married anyway, even if Qin Yanxi is really crazy? Li Junlu choked and paused, ask if I ask you. Got it annoying. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 13. Chapter 13 Obtaining the certificate. The next day, Yang Sisi got up early. Deliberately tied her hair into a low ponytail, clipped her broken bangs with a black hairpin, and exposed her forehead. When I went out to wash up, I met Li Yue across from me. Li Yue stared at her for a moment. Yang Sisi's hairstyle was so good when she slept. It was full and round, and her hair was tied casually, simple and neat. Why do you have your hair combed up? How beautiful is it with 2 braids? Yang Sisi had her bangs up for the first time. She was very uncomfortable with it and had no reason to be shy. I think it looks mature like this. Li Yue smiled knowingly and said, are you ignorant? Men, no matter what their age, like girls who are 18 or 19 years old. It would be most suitable for you to wear 2 pigtails. Yang Sisi was unhappy and asked, 2 braids are good, why don't you tie them? Li Yue, Yang Sisi hummed softly, went into the bathroom to brush her teeth and wash her face. After eating, she took her certificate and household registration book and set off. Li Yue followed. Meet Qin Yanxi halfway. Yang Sisi rushed to him excitedly, ACI, why are you here? The girl reveals her smooth forehead, which makes her face look even better. Bright eyes, good at gazing, red lips and white teeth. Incredibly beautiful. Qin Yanxi's eyes lit up and the corners of his lips raised slightly. Pick you up. He took out a red envelope from his pocket and said, Father asked me to hand it over to you. Yang Sisi was very surprised. When you get your marriage certificate, you also get a red envelope. Thank you, uncle, for me. When we meet in the evening, you will call me dad like me, and he agreed. Qin Yan was halfway through his words when he noticed Li Yue, stopped talking, and said coldly, what is your sister doing here? Yang Sisi said meaningfully, accompany me to get the certificate. Qin Yan said, it's not like you don't know how to receive it. Li Yue couldn't understand. What happened? Why did Qin Yanxi laugh when he saw Yang Sisi? She did not get a good look from him in her previous life. No certificate and no red envelope. Is her memory confused? She was very confused. She took a deep breath and said, Sisi is illiterate. I'm worried that she wrote her name wrong. Yang Sisi retorted, Yue, I am literate. The educated youth in the village have opened literacy classes, and all the young people in our village have attended them. The fellow villagers praised me for my good handwriting. She wanted to make her laugh in front of Qin Yanxi. No way. Li Yue forced a smile, really? Yeah. Yang Sisi nodded solemnly. That's great. Li Yue praised reluctantly. Yang Sisi looked at the shriveled Li Yue, and the corners of her mouth curled up secretly. Arrived at the registration office. The door is closed. Qin Yan resigned and patted the gate. Li Yue said, is there no one there? The next second, the door opened from the inside. A young man with good facial features poked his head out and smiled brightly when he saw Qin Yanxi. You came really early. Is this your sister-in-law? The other person said to Li Yue, who was standing in front of Yang Sisi. Li Yuwei's heart trembled and she was about to deny it. Qin Yanci brought Ying Sisi to the young man. Open your dog eyes and take a good look. This is my wife. Ying Sisi, this daughter-in-law's name is also very smooth. Have you ever practiced secretly? The young man choked and said, ahem, hello, sister-in-law. I'm blind, and you don't remember the faults of others. Ying Sisi smiled gently, it doesn't matter. The two of them entered the hall. The young man took out the form he had prepared in advance and asked the two of them to fill it out. Li Yuwei stepped forward. She would like to see what Ying Sisi's handwriting is like. Qin Yanyan completed the speech quickly and looked at Ying Sisi. She writes slowly but neatly. Li Yuwei was also shocked. I didn't expect that Ying Sisi could really write. Didn't my father say that Sisi should be illiterate? Is anyone watching? Please vote. End of this chapter. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 14. Chapter 14 So stupid. Fill in the information. The two persons obtain a marriage certificate in duplicate. Ying Sisi held a certificate and was full of anxiety about the future. Hands suddenly became empty. Qin Yanci took away the marriage certificate and said, I'll keep it for you. You wait outside first. Ying Sisi nodded obediently, okay. Li Yuwei rolled her eyes, walked to Ying Sisi, and whispered softly, Sister, you have to get your marriage certificate yourself, otherwise you won't be able to get divorced in the future. There is something I must remind you. I heard that Qin Yanci you have mental problems, and you especially like to fight with others. You two are now legally married. If he hits you, it is a domestic dispute. Outsiders can only persuade you, but cannot interfere with it. You have to be careful that he cannot vent his anger outside. Ying Sisi is already prepared for this. But when Li Yuwei said it, the nature of the matter changed. Begin to suspect, Li's father also knew about it. Her mother had difficulty in giving birth when she was born. Grandpa and Grandma raised her until she was 15 years old, and the old couple passed away one after another. Uncle and aunt robbed the house they left to her and planned to marry her off to an old bachelor in exchange for marriage. At this time, my father appeared. She thought she could finally live a stable life, but who would have thought that people were looking for her just to climb high? She was very angry. Since you know it, why are you telling me now? Do you really want to see me scared? Li Yuwei's purpose was revealed, and she became angry. Sister, I kindly remind you, how can you misinterpret my meaning? No wonder Mom said you are ignorant. It's really not unfair to you at all. Just wait to be beaten. She turned and walked away. She thought about it and felt that the reason why this life was different was because the betrothal partners were different. What I see now are all his disguises. When no one is around, it's time for him to reveal his true colors. Ying Sisi pursed her lips and clenched her fists because she was angry. The young man's voice came, Daughter-in-law, did Li Yuwei offend you? Ying Sisi came back to her senses and blushed. She really couldn't adapt to his title. They had only met for no more than 3 days. He seemed to have been shouting for several years. She denied it at first, and then said angrily, she said that I had received the certificate and should live in your house. We haven't held a wedding yet. It would be very unpleasant if the news spread. Don't you think so? Qin Yan was stunned. He thought that after receiving the certificate, he was legally married and could let her stay tonight. Since she was reluctant, there was no harm in waiting. Yeah. Let's go shopping, or should we go home first? Let's go home. Ying Sisi couldn't wait to see how much money was in the red envelope. While walking, Ying Sisi felt something was wrong. ACI, why don't you go home first? This road doesn't seem to be the direction home, nor is it going back to the courtyard. Qin Yanci is not really as described by Li Yuwei, advocating violent methods and preparing to take her to a hidden place to torture her, right? The more she thought about it, the more frightened she became, and her voice trembled. "ACI, where are you taking me? You will know when the time comes." Qin Yancy took off the scarf and put it around her neck. "Put it on, the cold voice will change. The scarf is stained with the body temperature of the young man." Yang Ceci's neck felt warm, and with his gentle movements, he tied the scarf for her, and even shaved her hair back thoughtfully. It instantly soothed her fearful heart. After calming down, she was amused by her own thoughts. She was so stupid that she believed in Li Yue. Qin Yancy works on a farm under military management. Is it true that he has mental problems and can stay there for 10 years? End of this chapter. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 15. Chapter 15. Listen to your wife's opinion. Qin Yancy lowered his eyes and looked at her, sometimes feeling sad and sometimes smiling. When you are sad, you frown slightly, looking weak and helpless, like the bright moon in the water, broken and round, making people feel a little heartache for no reason. When he smiles, his eyebrows are like dizzy waves. At first glance, she looks pretty. Look carefully, it looks better. Such a good-looking person is his wife. He was in a very good mood and said, "Are you happy or unhappy after receiving the certificate?" Yang Ceci raised her head and smiled. "Happy, very happy." How disappointing would it be to say she's not happy? Arrived at the place. Yang Ceci didn't know until Qin Yancy brought her to the family courtyard where Qin's father's work unit was located. Town buildings. Father Qin lives in room 301 on the third floor of the third row, the first one at the entrance of the stairs. After entering the house, you should carefully observe your surroundings. The house is a little messy. The walls are white, and the dark red furniture is simple but complete. There is a calendar with figures on the back of the door. There are 2 bedrooms, one large and one small, with empty beds. There are no pots in the kitchen, and there are a few aluminum lunch boxes scattered on the stove. The toiletries in the bathroom are quite complete. From what Qin Yancy meant, they lived here after their marriage. Yang Ceci said, "We live here. Is it convenient for uncle to commute to get off work?" He also has a single dormitory. Qin Yan said, "Do you like it?" Of course Yang Ceci liked it. There are only 2 of them living there, quiet and comfortable. Qin Yancy raised his lips slightly. It was not a waste of time for him to fight. Yesterday after my father got off work, my mother mentioned buying a wedding house, and my sister-in-law actually said that if there are many people living together, it would be fun, but if they live separately, the neighbors will talk about it. It's just a joke. What qualifications does she have to say that they can live together for him? What does it matter to him when others talk about him? Fortunately, his wife said what she said before she left, and he said it directly on the table without missing a word. This made her shut up. His father quickly proposed to use the work unit's house to accommodate him first, and his job was also found. Work in the geological survey team. But he was not interested. He wants to go to university. At this moment, he spoke out and planned to listen to his wife's opinion. Geological survey team, stable job. It's a bit difficult to get into college. I haven't touched textbooks in 10 years, and I have forgotten almost all the knowledge I have learned. How would you choose? Yang Ceci thought about it and said, I should choose to go to college. With a diploma, I have more choices. As a high school student with a knowledge base, your chances of getting admitted should be greater than most people. I don't know much about the work of the survey team. It sounds very respectable, but I think stability means unchangeable. Will it be boring to see the end of the day at a glance? Or are you interested in this job? If you're interested, it's worth doing. Girls are young. The voice is a little childish, and the expression is very serious when speaking. It sounds like it was said after careful consideration. Qin Yanxi was very useful. He said, I'm not interested. Reading is much more interesting. My savings are limited. During the review period, you and I will have to live a hard life. Yang Cixi could hardly suppress the raised corners of her mouth. She had a good house to live in and someone to support her. Can it be called a grievance? It's so happy, isn't it? Happiness is like a sweet dream. She immediately said, I'm not wronged. Being with you is also a blessing. Qin Yanxi was coaxed into laughing, and he promised, I will go all out to fight for the future so that you can live a good life. Yeah. Afternoon. Yang Cixi separated from Qin Yanxi on the grounds that she had other things to do at home, and secretly opened the red envelope on the way. Request for votes. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 16. Chapter 16 Setting up a stall. There was $20 in it. Members working in rural supply and marketing cooperatives receive a salary of 25 yuan a month, which is just a red envelope from Qin's father. Family conditions can be seen. What was wrong with Qin Yanxi that forced them to choose her as a daughter-in-law who was not from the right family? Why? Forget about it. Let's live the good life one day at a time. After walking home, Li Junlu glanced behind her. I didn't come back with you because of the banquet. Did you ask what I asked you to ask yesterday? Yang Cixi became impatient when she heard what Li Junlu said. She held back her temper and said, I asked. He said he was assigned to work in the geological survey team, but he didn't plan to go. He was going to pick up his books and go to college again. Li Junlu was unhappy and lectured him like an elder, if you don't do a good job, how can you get into university? What if you don't get into it? I'll meet him tomorrow and I have to talk to him. Yang Cixi, my father didn't even say anything. Is it your turn? Li Junlu. At this moment, Li Yue walked out of the room and looked at Yang Cixi, who looked as normal and in good condition. She really couldn't understand why Yang Cixi could escape Qin Yanxi's beating. Was he playing cat and mouse? Game. Definitely is. There is also the matter of going to college. In his last life, he changed his job several times and returned to studying for exams. I tried my best and finally failed to pass the exam by 2 points. She also relied on her to influence his review. Typically, if you can't poop, it's because the Earth's gravity is not enough. Yang Cixi glanced at Li Yue and gave Li Yue a blow. Li Junlu saw this and scolded her, Cixi, what's wrong with Yue? Are you leaning on her like this? Ask her. Yang Cixi went back to the house directly. Li Yue bit her lip, tears welling up in her eyes. She looked like she was about to cry, which made Li Junlu feel distressed and angry at the same time. He slapped the door and said, Li Cixi. Wealth. Li Junlu staggered. Don't think that I won't dare to treat you just because you accepted the certificate at the banquet. Come out and apologize to your sister. Yang Cixi opened the door with her bag and pushed Li Junlu away. If you don't ask why, how do you know it's my fault? By the way, there's something I want to tell you. Your precious daughter took the initiative to have with a girl near her grandma's house. Tell brother Feng to flirt with you. After saying that, she ran away. Li Junlu didn't know who the second brother Feng was, but he heard Song Hanmei mention Feng earlier many times. Simply cheating and neglecting one's duties. He immediately connected the two of them and looked at Li Yue as if asking for confirmation. Is the second brother Feng that Cixi mentioned is Feng Erliazi? Li Yue's face turned pale. How did Yang Cixi know? She immediately denied it and said, she framed me. Li Junlu was going to cross-examine Ying Sisi. Ying Sisi has already run away. He cursed, this girl really thinks that marrying into the Qin family will make her lawless. If you are bullied after you have the ability, don't ask for my support. Li Yue was waiting for the sentence, and the corner of her mouth curled up secretly. She waited to see how Ying Sisi was beaten and had no way to appeal. Ying Sisi ran to the black market carrying the bag of window grills, found a middle spot and set up the stall. Her window decorations are delicately cut and festive. As soon as it was put on the table, someone came over to take a look. Is this a dragon and a phoenix? How to sell it? Ying Sisi had just left the stall and did not dare to ask for a price. Yes, sister, 2 cents a pair. So expensive? Ying Sisi explained, it takes a lot of time. Magpies are cheap, a pair costs a penny, so you can buy this. The customer took a look at it and paid for 2 pairs. Is anyone watching? Woohoo, please vote. End of this chapter. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 17. Chapter 17 Change of Statement. This is not the first time that Ying Sisi has started a business. When she used to live in the village, she often searched around for specialties, such as morels and wild honey. After a month of busy work, she found a lot of things, but she couldn't sell them at a high price, so her income was barely enough. Enough for daily expenses. It's different now. Ordinary red paper can also be turned into money. She felt that she was in the right city. Getting rich is just around the corner. Taking the money, he couldn't help but smile, thank you for your patronage. A good start. The next sale went smoothly, and within 2 hours, almost all the window grills were sold. Income was more than forecast. Full 8 hairs. There is 1 week left before the Chinese New Year. By the 28th, these may not be sold. Excluding the preparation time, she can still sell it for 2 days. The goods are sufficient, and if the business goes well, I should be able to earn 5 yuan. The days have come to an end. She gave the remaining window grills to the doorkeeper. The younger brother originally wanted to charge her the stall fee, but he was too embarrassed to ask now. Let her go. Ying Sisi has been out for most of the day, and her body has already been thoroughly frozen. She trotted towards Qin's house. Passing by the door of the department store, I stopped and turned around to go in. Shopping around, I bought a set of baby clothes with the 8 cents I just earned, and took them to Qin's house. When we were approaching the entrance of the alley where the Qin family was, I saw the neighbor lady who lent her charcoal, carrying a dung bucket in her hand, chatting with another neighbor. The little daughter-in-law of the Qin family is here to give a speech to the banquet again. The neighbor's aunt, whose surname was Qian, teased with a bright smile. Ying Sisi smiled shyly, hello, auntie, ACI and I have received the certificate today. We are a serious couple. The implication is, you can't tell people that I always go to the man's house before I get married. Aunt Qian said, I know, your mother-in-law told me early in the morning. Ying Sisi giggled and said, well, I still have something to do. Madam, please talk slowly. She left. Mrs. Qian smiled and said, the little girl is so handsome and lovable. No matter how handsome and lovable she is, she will still be beaten when the man goes crazy. Aunt Qian sighed. She reminded her yesterday, but unfortunately the girl didn't listen. She took a chance and said, I haven't heard from his family about his situation in so many years. Maybe he's better. That's great, can I have this girl? Ying Sisi stood at the door and called, ACI. The next second, Qin Yanxi walked out of the side room, followed by Qin's father. Ying Sisi smiled and said hello. Hello, uncle. You still call me uncle? Ying Sisi was too embarrassed to scream. Father Qin smiled and said, quickly enter the house. Et. Qin Yanxi pointed to the bag in Ying Cici's hand. What do you have? Clothes bought for my little niece. After Ying Cici saw through Lu Yuechun's face, her impression of him was greatly reduced, but she consciously could not lose the due etiquette. I can't afford expensive nutritional products, so cheap baby products are just right. It can not only express one's feelings, but also earn favors. Qin's father smiled and said, we are all one family, so there is no need to be so polite. How is your dad doing recently? Good. After entering the house, Ying Cici first went to the bedroom to visit Lu Yuechun, gave him gifts, chatted with him for a few words, and then returned to the living room. Father of Qin was advising Qin Yan to resign and work peacefully. Qin Yan's decision to be admitted to the university will never be changed. At the back, Father Qin had no choice but to count on her to persuade him. "Si, please tell me the banquet speech." Ying Cici supported Qin Yanxi, but she didn't want to offend Qin's father, so she finally changed her mind. Dad, you know, I haven't read a book, and my vision is shallow. A CI has worked a farm in the Northwest for 10 years. What hasn't he seen? He knows that what he wants is that as a wife, I am useless if I can't help him. How can I give random orders and interfere with his decisions? Father Qin felt guilty when he mentioned the farm. Because of the sound of Dad. No matter how many opinions you have, you can't express them. There was only one Psy left. I'm afraid he will regret it later. Please give me a vote. Is there anyone? End of this chapter. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 18. Chapter 18 Vision. You can't have your cake and eat it too. There are trade-offs in everything. As an adult, ACI must have thought about what he will miss by choosing to go to college, right, ACI? Ying Cici's voice was gentle and gentle, like a warm spring breeze, slowly blowing into the young man's heart. He smiled at her. Yes. Qin's father's deep eyes swept across Qin Yanxi, and finally stopped at Ying Cici. If other women knew that their husbands had given up a stable job and chose a slim future, they would probably have lost their minds. However, she did not make any noise or make a fuss, and calmly analyzed the truth. It is rather far-sighted. Your dad said you haven't read a book, but you know a lot about it. Ying Cici was embarrassed. I learned it from the elders in the village. If what I say is wrong, please don't laugh at me. Learn well. While chatting, Qin's mother and Qin family's eldest brother Qin Jing came back with New Year's goods. Ying Cici stood up to say hello to the two of them, and stepped forward to help organize the New Year's goods. Mother Qin smiled and said, we are one family from now on, so there is no need to be polite. She glanced at the girl from the corner of her eye as she spoke. His movements are quick and crisp, and he looks like a diligent person at first glance. I couldn't help but feel a bit fond of him, and he took the initiative to chat about household matters, such as how the New Year's goods were being prepared. Relatives who will go wherever they go after the New Year. Those who wish to communicate with outsiders should tell them everything they know. After the New Year's goods are sorted and put away, Ying Cici followed Qin's mother into the kitchen, washed rice, washed vegetables, and chopped stuffed croquettes. At first Qin's mother did it with her, and later Lu Yuechun shouted twice. Mother of Qin stayed in the main house. Ying Cici could only light the fire and look after the oil pan. Qin Yanxi came in several times, his face getting darker and darker. After Ying Cici found out, the rumors about him couldn't help but spread in her mind, deriving various scenarios of him doing something to her. The more she thought about it, the more frightened she became, and she said in panic, ACI, are you cold? Why don't you help me light a fire? He dared to take action. She just poured hot oil on him and subdued him at once, making him afraid of her in turn. Humph. At that time, she was not as delicate as she is now. She will let him know what a shrew is. Not cold. Qin Yanxi had no expression on his face. He seemed a little anxious after sitting down and kept adding firewood to the stove. "ACI, the fire is too strong, I'm getting burned standing here." Qin Yanxi hurriedly pulled out the firewood. Yang Sisi watched his movements and thought that if he was going to hurt her, it would be more convenient for him not to bother her, but to find a reason to call her into the room and cover her mouth. "Are you hungry?" People tend to be irritable when they are hungry. She picked up a warm meatball and put it to his mouth. "Have a taste." Qin Yanxi looked at her with warm eyes as she bit into the meatball, chewed it twice and said, "It's delicious." It was moderately salty, tender, and delicious. "Are you tired?" As soon as he arrived at his house, he didn't sit down for long. "I kept working, and it was almost dark, but I still kept working." These were originally the mother's jobs. If she doesn't want to do it, she can tell her elder brother, tell him. Why did he dump it on his newly married wife? Just because she is young, a foreigner, and easy to talk to, can she be exploited as a maid? "I'm not tired." Yang Sisi noticed that after eating the meatballs, his face looked much better. Make sure he is hungry. Can't help but find it funny. Laugh at his childish nature. I also laugh at myself because I have repeatedly made malicious assumptions about my husband because of other people's instigation. She opened the lid of the pot on the earthen stove and filled a large bowl of rice for him. She also picked out some braised pork and pig's trotters from the pot and put them into the bowl. "Are you hungry? Eat quickly, later. As long as I cook, come over and help me light the fire, so that I can leave the best meat to you." Request for votes. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 19. Chapter 19 Prudery. Qin Yanxi was stunned. She actually thought he was hungry and called him into the kitchen. A heart is warmed again and again. He couldn't help but said, "It's great to have a daughter-in-law." Yang Sisi pursed her lips and smiled. She is such a thick-skinned daughter-in-law. Qin Yanxi did not forget to feed Yang Sisi during the meal. The two of them were half full and the work in the kitchen was finished. Mother of Qin also appeared at this time. Looking at a table of sumptuous meals, she was very satisfied. "Sci is so diligent. You've won the prize." The whole family sat together and either praised Sisi for her dexterity or her ability. Yang Sisi was praised for her efforts and smiled from ear to ear. As long as Qin Yanxi has a cold face, why should she do it if her daughter-in-law can do it? "Why?" Lu Yuechun said, "Yanxi, I married a daughter-in-law today, why aren't you happy?" Qin Yanxi did not respond. Lu Yuechun was a little embarrassed. Yang Sisi turned to face his cold face, her eyes full of confusion. She was fine just now, so why is she unhappy again? "Do you hate your sister-in-law?" "Hate is right. Sister-in-law is not a good person." Qin's mother joked, "Maybe it's because Sisi is leaving." In order to please Qin Yanxi, Lu Yuechun said as a matter of course, after receiving the certificate, "We are a legal couple. Sisi can live here. Besides, it is already dark. You are a big girl and you are beautiful. You are walking at night, how dangerous." Yang Sisi's face turned red again. "ACI sent me back." Lu Yuechun thought that Yang Sisi was a prude and deliberately pretended to be reserved to manipulate the Qin banquet. After a meal, Qin's mother handed the gifts prepared in advance to Qin Yanxi and told him to give them to Li Junlu. On the way home, Yang Sisi sat in the back, holding the seat frame with both hands. "ACI, when will we arrange for someone to clean the house where we got married?" He gave the key to her today. She planned to go there to cut the window grills if she was sure no one was there. Not only to avoid Song Hanmi's strange aura, but also to avoid Li Yue's surveillance. How about after the new year, are you planning to decorate it yourself? Ying Sisi laughed, I really want to decorate it myself, but I'm a little busy these days during the new year. She is diligent, but she doesn't do everything. Qin Yanxi guessed that her poisonous stepmother wanted her to prepare New Year's goods. She is too good. Don't know how to resist. Whenever he gets a chance in the future, he will definitely give that poisonous stepmother a good beating. About half an hour later, Ying Sisi has arrived home. The family of three were sitting in the living room waiting for her. Li Junlu's eyes lit up when he saw Qin's banquet. The banquet is here, sit down. Qin Yanxi put down the gift. Hello, uncle. You've already received the certificate with Sisi, and you still call me uncle, Li Junlu reminded Qin Yanxi to change his words. Ying Sisi rushed to speak, Dad, before I received my certificate today, my father-in-law gave me a big red envelope. Li Junlu, damn girl. He deliberately said that he would give a red envelope before receiving the certificate. It is obvious that he is stingy and does not understand the ways of the world. How many red envelopes are there? Can you just say no? A big red envelope. How big should his bag be? It's more of a loss than a loss of face. It's really a lie. He smiled stiffly and said, yes, I have to pay for the correction. He turned around and entered the room. Song Hanmi I wanted to follow, but was worried about Li Junlu's lack of red envelopes. Qin Yan resigned and went home to tell Qin's father and mother that it was her instigation that led to the lack of red envelopes. To avoid suspicion, she stayed. Looking at the gifts Qin Yanxi brought. 2 boxes of Maotai. A cigarette. There is also a box of ginseng. The Qin family is too generous. These should be enjoyed by her daughter. What a pity. She elbowed Li Yue where Ying Sisi and Qin Yanxi couldn't see her. She suppressed her anger and said through her teeth, look, what did you miss? Request for votes. End of this chapter. Flash marriage of the era. Married to a crazy husband who amazes everyone. Author, Yuan. Chapter 20. Chapter 20. Are you making her hurt all over? Li Yue retreated in pain. Scream secretly. Mom. Don't look at Qin Yanxi's gift. He was forced by his parents and had no choice. Hurry to tomorrow, he will turn his back and take it back. Also, when I marry Feng Shuangzi, how many of these will I need? At this time, Li Junlu came out of the room, holding the red envelope, feeling a slight pain in his body. There were 30 yuan here. Is most of his monthly salary. Enough to cover the expenses of a whole family for a month. It's all because of this dead girl. He suppressed his dissatisfaction and said, ACI, my precious daughter is left to you. You must take good care of her. As he said this, he handed over the red envelope. Qin Yan said seriously, of course I want to feel good pain. Li Yue thought to herself, are you making her hurt all over? Qin Yanxi sat down for a while and said goodbye. The family sent him out. Qin Yanxi glanced across the crowd and landed on Ying Sisi. Dad, I want to say a few words to my wife. Hey, Li Junlu gave in automatically and took Song Hanmi away. Song Hanmi pulled Li away again and sighed, Yanxi looks like he loves his wife. Tell me, how hard it is for you to give up such a good partner to Ying Sisi. And everyone despises her. Feng Erliazi asked, did you take the wrong medicine? She just heard Lao Li talk about this matter. The lungs are about to explode. Now that I saw Qin Yanxi, who wanted to be tall and handsome, I really wanted to pry open this daughter's brain and see what was inside. Mom, Feng Shuangzi is not what you think. If you dare to mention that person, I'm warning you to stay away from him. That person is not a good person at first sight. You've gone too far, Li Yue ran out angrily. Yang Sisi was just sending Qin Yanci away when she saw Li Wei rushing out the door with her head lowered. The next second she heard Song Hanmei scolding, "Don't come back if you can." Yang Sisi was worried about being implicated and walked back to the house. "Take out the red envelope. Qin Yanci just received this from Li Junlu. He said that all the red envelopes received during the wedding will be handed over to her for safekeeping." "Just right. You can use the money to do business." She hid the money, briefly freshened up, and went to bed. "When I woke up, the sky was still dull and bright. Get up and make breakfast for the family, grab 2 steamed buns and rush to the morning market with a bag for window grills. I bought a large pile of red paper there and went straight to the family's courtyard to cut out the window grills." Originally, she planned to sell one day at a time. But she doesn't have a bicycle, so it's difficult to transport her. So he changed it to half a day to prepare and half a day to sell. After a whole morning of hard work, Yang Sisi finally finished her work, swept away the scraps of paper in the room, and walked to the black market with the bag in hand. "Like last time, I found a not so good or bad location to set up my stall. Business is very good." After a while, a thick stack was sold. Just when she was elated, a familiar voice sounded. "Daughter-in-law." Yang Sisi turned her eyes, her pupils tightened, she took a breath of cold air and held her breath. "Is the banquet speech of Qin dynasty? Why is he here?" She had changed into cotton clothes today, her face was covered tightly, and only her eyes were exposed, but he could actually recognize her. See, she stammered. Qin Yanci walked forward, frowning almost invisible, looking at her and then at the stall. "Yours?" Yes." Yang Sisi couldn't deny it. "Today's world looks down on businessmen. I think they are speculators and do not do their job properly. The Qin family is well established, and their daughter-in-law actually sets up a street stall here. If word gets out, she will probably be returned by them, right?" She did not dare to look at him at this time and lowered her eyebrows. She didn't even pay attention to the customers who were shopping. It was Qin Yanci who said, "People ask you how to sell things. Request for votes." End of this chapter.